Thanks for tuning in. You're listening to the best animated shows ever, so far, with MC and Troy.
Jeez, trying to start the podcast, and you interrupt me when I'm trying to say, I'm Troy.
And I'm MC.
And this is the best animated... Wait, no, it's your turn.
It's my turn. And this is the best animated shows ever.
Oh, that was a long pause. He's gonna sneeze.
So far.
Oh, bless you. MC, I never really bought into saying bless you because I'm not the kind of person who goes around trying to bless people because I don't really believe in it. And also, if I did believe in it, I wouldn't think that I have the right to go around blessing people because, like, who am I? I'm just some dude. So I always, like 15-year-old Troy started saying, you sneezed, instead of saying bless you, because it's like, that's all you're telling people when you say bless you. All you're saying is you sneezed. You sneezed. Because it's all it means. You don't have the power to bless people, so all you're doing is telling them that you sneezed.
The show where we watch, discuss, and rank every animated show ever. Eventually. Thanks for just interrupting my intro there, Troy. Yeah, thanks.
I thought you'd done that part already.
Nope.
Anyway, I was going to say that I say bless you to Atticus, and I don't know why. And every time I say it, I'm like, why did I say bless you? And it's just because he's so cute when he sneezes. Listen, baby sneezes, adorable.
Gesundheit is...
Gesundheit's very good.
Yeah.
It's so strong.
The other one I like to do is when people say bless you, I just go science. Because it's just...
What?
It's just something funny to say.
I feel like if I'm gonna start saying Gesundheit, I need to like do some push-ups first or something. Like that word is stronger than me. I have not yet claimed the right to say it. MC, Ducktales. Woo.
Ooh woo.
There's one voice actor I want to talk about for Ducktales.
Okay.
So as you know, Ducktales was rebooted. I'm not sure which in 2017. With
yes.
A whole new cast, a whole new animation style. And one of the... Go ahead.
Well, there's a very lovely Scottish man that we both enjoy.
No. We're not talking about the cast of the 27 DuckTales yet. That's not what I'm talking about. All I want to say, we'll get to that when we get to DuckTales. And the fact that the actor playing Scrooge McDuck is very good in 2017. That's not what we're talking about. The main thing I heard people griping about with the 2017 one, which I think is interesting, is I've heard people compliment the show for this and complain about it, is that they made Huey, Dewey, and Louie distinct. Like, they each have their own personalities. They have more than just different colors, like they're wearing different clothes. It's still one's red, one's blue, one's green. But they've got distinct look to them and distinct voices as well. Because in the original DuckTales, the one we are talking about, they don't have distinct voices. They're literally all voiced by the same person. Her name is Russi Taylor, and she also voiced the Webigail, the niece, and she did all of them. She was also the voice of Minnie Mouse, and she was the voice of Strawberry Shortcake. She did all kinds of voices. She voiced Pebbles Flintstone in the Flintstones comedy show in the 80s. She was Baby Gonzo in Muppet Babies. She was the Pac Baby in the Pac-Man cartoon, because that's a thing that happened. She was in Rescuers Down Under. She's been in My Little Pony. She's been in Cinderella sequels. She's been in all kinds of stuff. She's been in
pretty
The
much
Simpsons.
Anything.
Yeah,
needed
all over the place. She's Martin Prince in The Simpsons. Like, she's been all over the place. She unfortunately did pass away just this past year in 2019. But I just wanted to give a shout out to Russi Taylor because I think it's cool that, like, I love Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and it turns out that she was all three of them, and Minnie Mouse, and Webby, just everybody. Good on you, Russi Taylor. You're just staring at me. Why are you just staring at me? You can't just stare at me.
Well, what can I say after that? Like,
I don't know.
Oh my god. Like, yeah, she did a great job. Or like, they pretty much wear all the same outfit and sound exactly the same. in this series, the 87 series. So that makes a lot of sense that it was one person doing all the voices.
Yeah. I mean, and that's like, it's not, if you like that they changed it in 2017, you can't be upset with the old show for the fact that they all sound the same. You can't be upset with her for the fact that they all sound the same, because clearly they were supposed to all sound the same.
Yeah.
Like, that was the intention of the characters. So, cool. That's all I got for behind the scenes for this one, which is called Wrongway in Wrongway, and we'll talk about it right after these messages.
Hello, you beautiful YouTube watchers. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe. And we're back.
You waited extra long just to... Oh, he's cracking open soda. You waited extra long there just to throw me off after... Because last episode I was like, I can predict when you're going to do it. So this time you're like,
I waited for... long. I waited for you to start freaking out to actually do it.
You're some kind of a thing, MC. Wrongway to Wrongway is the second episode of Ducktales. Woo! It premiered on November 10th, 1987, and it features the story of Uncle Scrooge and the nephews following the map that's on the ship to find their way to the lost treasure in the deserts/seas of Wrongway, because they're like, it's underwater treasure because it's a boat, so we're definitely going to bring a lot of underwater treasure gear to the place that we're going, and they don't like look it up beforehand to see if maybe the climate has changed, or if, I don't know, there's like freak rainstorms that only happen once every 100 years. So instead they just go in assuming it's going to be like a tropical island paradise. And then when they get there, it turns out that no, it's not. It's actually a desert wasteland. And there's like hardly any water to be seen. So having all this water gear really doesn't make much sense. And they should probably just throw it out of their bags. And then, I mean, it's not like there's going to be a freak flood that happens every 100 years that's going to make them regret throwing that stuff out of their bags. And boy, I sure wish we had that like underwater gear still. That'd be really helpful to have in this formerly desert, now an ocean climate, but that's probably not a thing that's going to happen in this episode of DuckTales from 1987, which is called Wrongway and Wrongway.
And I'm sure some of that might happen just because they are tropes. I'm just saying. Like getting rid of the thing that you might need. Yeah. But anyway, we're introduced to a new character. The cops are taking away the Beagle Boys again at the beginning of all of this. The reporter's signing off, and we get an office scene with another wealthy Scottish duck who wants to be the wealthiest duck alive, and his name is Flintheart Glomgold.
Flintheart Glomgold. It's weird that they're both Scottish. Why are they both Scottish?
I don't know. And only Flintlock is wearing a kilt. Like Scrooge doesn't wear a kilt, I don't think, at all.
He doesn't, but I think it's in this episode. Maybe it was in the next one because I've watched episode 3 already. But he says like, "Oh my tartan" or something like that. So he references his Scottish heritage at some point. But Flintheart Glomgold is like, listen, man, that candy factory that Scrooge McDuck got, his candy factory, it's all jacked up, and so I want to buy it. Is this important? Did I miss something about why buying the candy factory was important?
Yes.
Okay.
Essentially, he wants to be the richest duck in the world.
Okay.
I mentioned it, and part of that is...
What does buying the candy factory have to do with it?
No, it's because it's ruined. He thinks he can get it for cheaper.
Oh, well, I guess that's fair.
And a whole bunch of other stuff, and it's like his stock must be depreciating, and I can make all the... I can become the richest duck in the world, and then when it doesn't start working out, he gets a mysterious phone call from El Capitan.
Mm-hmm.
And Glomgold latches onto this treasure idea to make him the richest duck in the world.
Did El Capitan need to go to Flintheart Glomgold because Flintheart bought the candy factory and the impression of the ship was in the candy factory?
No.
Is that how that... No?
I
so
think
El Capitan
he's
had
giving
the impression already?
I think he's giving him the idea to get the impression.
Weird. Okay. So
But
that sets up the two sides of our chase. One is Uncle Scrooge and the nephews going for the treasure. The other is Glomgold and El Capitan. And the kind of competition here is that Glomgold and Scrooge have made a bet to see which of them can earn the most cash, and the loser has to eat Glomgold's hat.
Yeah,
that's their competition.
Yeah, pretty much.
Kill the rich, MC is what I say about this episode. Like they're competing like over who can make the most money, and the loser has to eat a hat. Come on now, there's people who could benefit from that money, Scrooge, you miserly old dude who won't give any money to charity, you jerk.
Yeah, I know all that.
How about have a competition of who can donate the most to charity in 2 weeks? That's what you should do, you jerks.
It's
these millionaires and billionaires.
Commentary on capitalism. It's completely fine. It's okay. It's a kids show.
What would Bernie Sanders have to say about this being a children's show? It's celebrating capitalism. It's gross.
I mean,
I like it, but it's weird. I realize that, like, it's weird
Scrooge?
watching it now because you're like, this is such a celebration of money. Like, that's so much of what this show is.
So, there's a scene right after we get El Capitan talking to Glomgold with Scrooge in a pool vacuuming the floor with a machine. And I remember this being a big thing on the show. Like, he just has, like, all this R&D, I guess, running all these, like, different machines for all of his adventures.
Yep.
Like, it's just the thing that he has laying around.
So, that's actually something that I think is interesting, because, yes, you're right, and we'll meet the guy who makes those in the next episode. We meet the inventor. I can't think of his name right now. But what I'm wondering is, it seems like from the get-go, Scrooge is a treasure hunter. Like, this I don't think is his first time following a treasure map. He's done this before. So I wonder if, like, because I was talking last episode about how he doesn't seem like he's, like, that good at being wealthy, because he's like, oh, I shouldn't buy a taxi, I should just walk for 3 miles. And I'm like, value your time. I wonder if he, like, hasn't actually earned his fortune through business, but instead has earned it through treasure hunting, and just has businesses because he's so wealthy that that's what you do with it, is you buy businesses.
Well, I mean, he did have a lot of artifacts as well as, like, just all of his gold.
It's true.
Like, it looks like treasure.
I think he is a treasure hunter first and foremost, and a businessman second.
But yeah, this machine blows up, so it's not going on the adventure. It's some sand digging machine that he was testing under the water.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, there's a short scene where the boys have worked out the clues on the thing.
Yeah, because the name on the ship isn't a word in Spanish, and so they decide that it must be that each letter corresponds to a number, and like A is 1, B is 2, and so then they use that to figure out what the numbers would be, and then translate that into longitude and latitude, which directs them to the South American country of Wrongway. And I think this is really cool, and I wonder, because I was super into the idea of like secret codes and things like that when I was a kid, and I wonder if it came from this episode. It's quite possible.
Oh, maybe. We also get a quick scene of this is when the bet's made, and Glomgold buys the factory for $2 million. And they bet the eating of the hat. The winner was the one who made the most money in 2 weeks, and they're both going after this treasure.
Right, they both think they've got a shoe in to win because of the treasure. And I think does Glomgold know that? He must know that Scrooge is after the treasure. Scrooge definitely doesn't know that Glomgold's after it, but...
And, they get the impression out of the thing, which seems to be the second part of the map. The first part being the one that led them to Wrongway.
Yeah, I didn't quite follow how that worked, because I thought it was going to be like the Indiana Jones thing of they only have half the map, but it didn't seem like it really caused them that much issue. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
In any case, Scrooge and the boys charter a plane. Scrooge finds the cheapest plane he possibly can, so it's like got goats on it and stuff, and somebody's laundry hanging off the top of the plane. And then they realize, hey, wait a minute, this is going the wrong direction, because Wrongway's in South America, and we're flying north. And South America is definitely south of Duckburg, so we're going the wrong way to Wrongway.
Yeah. And then they bust into the cockpit, and there's a robot
It's
flying
a robot
the ship.
pilot.
And this airline seems to be owned and operated by Glomgold.
Dun dun dun.
So they pull out. Oh, they destroy the cable for the robot.
Yeah, one of the ducks yanks on the power cord by the cord instead of by the plug, and it just rips the cord out of the plug and destroys the cable. And I feel like this is a good public service announcement, kids. Don't unplug your cables that way. When you need to unplug a power cable, what you want to do is get down close to the power outlet where the cable's plugged in. You probably want to get on your knees so that you can have some good low leverage there. And then you want to firmly grasp the plug as close to the wall as you can get. Not by the cord, but by the actual plug itself. And then you want to pull it straight out. Don't angle it up or down or left or right as you pull on it. Just grasp it right by the plug and pull it straight out towards you. And that will ensure a long, healthy life for all of your power cords.
There's your service announcement.
Because if you don't do that, you might destroy the robot that's flying the plane, and the plane's going to crash.
Well, actually, if you're lucky enough, Scrooge McDuck will be there and save the day by control of the plane.
Well,
because he's a crafty explorer.
You're skipping the woodchuck book, because here's another good use of the woodchuck book.
Oh yeah.
Because they do their wisdom check to try to look up landing a plane in the woodchuck book, and they rolled bad on this one because they find like landing spacecrafts and flying jets and dirigibles and everything except just a regular old airplane. So it does them no good. I want this magic item so bad.
But yeah, it doesn't end up saving the day, but Scrooge does, and they finally start flying the correct way to Wrongway.
It's right way to Wrongway.
And then when they land, it seems all the locals steal their plane.
Yeah, they just like storm the plane and toss the ducks out.
Yeah,
and they're like, peace, and fly away, and they're all yelling about something.
Yeah. Monzapis? Yeah.
And they're like, well, there's some sort of crazy monster here that everybody's afraid of.
No, they reckon it's a festival.
Oh, yeah. I thought they thought it was a monster. Do the later they think it's a monster? Do they ever think it's a monster?
No.
MC, you're the monster.
Yep. I won't deny it.
So they try and buy, like, they're like, can we get a horse? And they're like, no. And they're like, how about a car? And they're like, no. And they're like, how about, like, some big chickens to ride on? And they're like, no.
A donkey? Yeah.
Donkey? Mm-mm. How about a bullet train? Nope, don't have any of those. What we got is a stubborn llama. And so they get a stubborn llama, and they head out to what they think is going to be the ocean. But, oh, no, it's a desert, MC.
Yep, and they do all their calculations, and it's like they're in the middle of the desert, and it's like, well, how can a ship sink in the desert? And it's like they go back to the book at some point, and that's when they discover the Monzapis are actually floods that happen once every 100 years, and Scrooge walks into quicksand. But because he's pushing the diving equipment in front of him, guess how he gets out of the quicksand?
How's he out of the quicksand?
He swims out with an oxygen. Yeah, just an oxygen tank and some goggles. Just swims out of the quicksand like it's no big deal.
I happened to be flipping through the channels the other day and came across a episode of Man vs. Wild where Bear Grylls was in the Sahara Desert, and he was like, "Hey, check it out. Here's some quicksand. Did you know that like quicksand's super dangerous? Anyway, let me show you how it works." And he just hopped in there. He just hopped right in. I was like, this really sucks. It's really pulling on my legs a lot, but it's, it's pulling me down. But anyway, and then he just kept talking about the quicksand while the quicksand was eating him. And I'm like, Bear, stop talking about the quicksand. Get yourself out of the quicksand. He's like, the thing about quicksand is the more you sit in it, the more it suctions you down. And it's not really you're not gonna drown because it's dense, and so your body's buoyant, so it won't really drown you in it. Instead, you just get stuck in it. And that sun, and he's pointing up at the Sahara Desert sun. He's like, that's what'll really kill you, is it just cooks you to death while you sit here stuck in the quicksand. Anyway, I'm Bear Grylls. I'm stuck in the quicksand. We'll go commercial, and then maybe I'll crawl out of this next time. And I'm like, dude, just get out of the quicksand.
He's nuts.
Eventually, he did get out. It's okay.
Yeah.
Bear Grylls did not die in quicksand in the Sahara Desert, so
I didn't think he would.
Nor did Scrooge McDuck.
No, he swam out, and then Scrooge is talking with the boys, and he's getting spied on by Glomgold and El Capitan, and Glomgold's like he's a money magnet or something, like, and they have the other side of the map.
Darn Scrooge McDuck, like, no matter what happens, he's gonna find the cash, because that's just what he does. He finds money. It's not fair.
Yeah. And they put the chocolate imprint down at one point, and I'm like, that's a bad thing to do. You want to keep that covered up and, like, in a safe place, maybe. Like, just don't leave it on the ground somewhere. And then we cut back to Scrooge and the boys, and it starts raining, and they're miserable, and they're pushing this llama, and then the llama goes nuts and runs off.
Yep, and they check their Junior Woodchuck guidebook, and they find out that the Monsepus, because the Junior Woodchuck guidebook has information on this freak weather pattern that happens in a South American country, so they find out that the Monsepus is, it's not a festival, MC. It's not a monster. It's a freak rainstorm that happens once every 100 years, like clockwork. And wouldn't you know it, it's been 99 years and 364 days and 23 hours and 59 minutes since the last one.
Ah, so...
And then it rains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
it rains so much. It rains and rains and rains.
And then what happens is we get more scenes with El Capitan and Glomgold, where they're going to blow up the valley that Scrooge and the boys are in so they can go run off in front and get the gold themselves. Mm-hmm. But the donkey eats the bit of chocolate that they've just left out, and Glomgold has to undetonate the TNT that he's thrown at.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, we can't trap them now because we need to be able to follow them. So,
yeah.
Oopsies. Oopsie-doodle. So first he's like, I've got to kill him. And then he's like, I've got to save him. And he goes and has to put out the dynamite. Which, can you just pinch out dynamite fuse? That doesn't seem like a thing you should be able to do.
It shouldn't be something you could do. But what ends up happening is the boys and Scrooge are walking through the rain, and Scrooge says he's made a Malaysian umbrella.
Yeah, this is, again, where he seems to have a treasure hunting background, because he's like, oh, I learned to make these while I was adventuring in the wherevers. Yeah. So he's like got some history, some sort of treasure hunting history, this here duck.
Yeah, and the boys are like, you can't quit yet. We'll find this sunken ship, and they find a cave.
Mm-hmm.
And it's empty, and they go and sleep in there. And Glomgold and all that come in the middle of the night, but like a trap's been set with like
the
pots
boys
and
set
pans.
up a Junior Woodchuck alarm system. This is one of the first things I ever did in D&D. The first game I ever played, I like slept in a cave like thing like this, and I had been everywhere we went and killed things. I took their swords, and my DM's like, they're just shitty swords. Like, they're not worth anything. They're like old crappy rusted swords. And I was like, that's fine. And then when we set up camp, I'm like, I string up all of those swords on a tripwire so that if somebody walks in, all the swords are going to clash against each other. And that was my That became like our standard security alarm for our camp in that game.
Oh, nice.
A bunch of rusty swords on a line.
Oh, I would go with bells myself. I would
didn't have bells, but I had a bunch of rusty swords.
So before I would start my campaign, I would ask how much for like a string of bells.
That's a good idea. That should be part of every good adventurer's kit, is a string of bells. Or pots and pans or rusted swords.
Yes. Something that will go jingle.
Jingle jangle. So
wind chimes.
The bad guys steal the map, and then just imagine. Wind chimes are such a lovely sound. They're like,
yeah,
what a beautiful sound. Oh shit, we're being robbed.
Yeah. So after being alerted that there's an intruder in their camp, and they run off down further in the cave, trying to get ahead of them.
Yeah, but I think I don't remember. Anyway, they find a boat. MC, they find the boat. Okay, is what happens. They find the boat in the cave.
Well, they kind of get lost down in the cave, don't they?
Do they get trapped? Do El Capitan and Glomgold like cause a cave in and trap them or something?
No.
For some reason, they're wandering inside of the cave instead of outside of the cave, and then they find the boat, but it's got a big hole in the side.
Well, they're chasing down the two guys who ran through their camp, essentially, I think. And they're trying to follow him, and the water's getting deep, and they're going further into these caves, and the water keeps rising. Mm-hmm. And they sort of stumble upon the boat and fix it back up.
Yep, they're like, look at all this treasure, but they're like, oh man, how are we going to get it all out of here? There's so much treasure, and the water's filling up, and there's this boat here, and what are we going to do about the water and the boat and the lack of transportation? If only we had some sort of transportation to get all this treasure out of this boat and away from this water so that we could get it to dry land, but we don't have any way to get the treasure that's in the boat out of the boat so that we can get it to the away from the water. And then they fix the boat.
Yeah.
With gold planks. Like wooden planks, but made of gold. And also a golden sail.
Yeah.
And yeah, they fixed the boat up with gold accoutrement, and now they've got a big old boat to sail on.
And they sail it out, and right as they're about to get away with their loot, El Capitan and Glomgold come out and say, "This is our ship," and boot them off onto a dinghy.
Mm-hmm. And he's floating away on the dinghy, and Glomgold's like, "Here's a coin for your trouble." And El Capitan, apparently this was his boat, is what El Capitan's saying.
Yeah.
Like, he was the captain of this boat, I guess. And he's like, I'm not going to lose any of my treasure. You go get that back. And he's like, I don't want to get it back. And he's like, you better get it back. And they start arguing with each other.
And then there's a cannon getting pointed at someone. And then pointed at the other person. And then it gets pointed straight up into the air. Mm-hmm. Which we all know is a bad thing.
Isn't there a movie where a guy like gets murdered by a bullet falling from the air?
Yes. I think that's happened a couple of times.
What movie?
I can't remember the name.
I'm sure it's happened in something, but I can't think of what movie it happens in. But I feel like there's some movie where that's like, this guy was murdered, and then it turns out that he wasn't murdered. It was just like a bullet got shot up in the air and randomly fell down and hit him. Maybe it was an episode of Bones I saw. That sounds like something that would happen on Bones.
Yeah, that's definitely been in a Bones episode.
You know, there's the guy on Bones, Angel. I can't think of his name. Now he's Angel to me. Yeah, no, because
that's his name in Bones.
No, his name in Bones is Dude Bones, which was the point that I was getting at. Is now I know him as Angel, but for the longest time, David Boreanaz is his name. For the longest time, I knew him as Dude Bones because I didn't watch Bones, but I watched enough Bones to recognize that actor. And every time I saw him somewhere, I'd be like, "Oh, it's Dude Bones," and that's who he was for the longest time. But now he's Angel.
His character's name is Sealy Booth.
Dude Bones.
Sealy Booth.
Mr. Bones?
I mean, in the end, I haven't seen all of it.
Spoilers.
Like, I get bits and bits.
Spoilers, you spoiled the fact that he gets married to her and takes her legal name after she changes her legal name to Bones.
Okay. I don't think that actually happens. Wait. Well, yeah, they argue the ship sinks again. This time in a different place because they've floated it out. But Scrooge ends up winning the bet because of the 1 gold piece that got tossed.
Gold coin.
Yeah. So, Glomgold has to eat his hat, but he also gets saved by Scrooge, which is kind of a weird thing. Like, he's very honorable in that sort of way. Like, listen, their boat sank, we have to go save them, but they can't find El Capitan. And Glomgold is like, just leave him, he's gone. And they leave.
Do you think he's really gone? I bet he shows back up.
Yeah, well, he shows up a little bit later saying that he was going to have his revenge, so, and his gold, apparently.
I bet this gold is going to come back up later on in the show at some point. I would think. Best first? No, worst first.
No, worst.
I said it backwards. I forgot the rhyme. Worst first. Who did I go first last time, or did you go first? Your turn to go first.
Yeah, I'll go first.
Worst first, MC.
So the worst thing in this episode, I can't really. Maybe like all the getting to the places. Like it seemed like they had to make it as difficult as possible to get anywhere or get anything done. Like,
okay,
even though like Scrooge is this really rich dude, he like, I know he's trying to be frugal so he can make more money and whatnot, but still, he could have got a bit of a better plane, or planned ahead and had like a car waiting rather than like
he can't afford
turning up and just trying to get like there's little plot things that you're like, oh, this wouldn't happen in real life, but
yeah, his planning in general is suspect at best.
But he still seems to come out on top.
Yeah, and it makes me think that there's some supernatural element because like the guy says, like, he's a money magnet. Is there some like greater force that's helping Scrooge to get his riches? I don't know. To keep watching to find out. Probably not though. My worst was that. Okay, so you haven't watched episode 3 yet, right?
No, I've only seen the first 2.
Okay, so I wrote down my worst thing for this episode. Then I watched the next episode, and then my worst thing for this episode is way worse in the next episode than it is in this episode. But I'm still going to say here is what I wrote down was racist caricatures, because the like way that the people of Wrongway are portrayed, stealing the plane and everything, like it just felt icky to me. I was like, I get that this is like kids' cartoon and you use shorthand for stuff, but it felt like there was some like stereotypes being invoked in a way that I didn't super love. And honestly, they kind of do it with Scrooge and Flintlock or whatever his name is too. That are like super Scottish stereotypes.
Glomgold.
But yeah, it feels like they maybe dip into the racial stereotype a little too heavily in this show. And boy, like I said, I wrote that down as my thought on this episode. And next episode, holy smokes, MC.
Worse.
It is worse. Much worse. My best thing, MC, is when they're in the cave and they're all having a little snooze, and then the alarm goes off and wakes them all up. Scrooge McDuck, what he yells out in alarm is he goes, "Robbers, thieves, politicians!" And I like the idea that Scrooge McDuck thinks that politicians are sneaking up on him in the night. I don't know why, but that makes me really happy.
I'm gonna have to say my best thing for this episode is the music.
Okay. Interesting. I don't think I made note of the music. Was there a particular spot where the music really caught you?
Well, I think it really like set up all the scenes and like ramped up the intensity of some of the scenes and like.
Huh.
I think it just made like everything hit like a little bit better. Like the music really complemented what was happening on the screen.
Interesting. I will have to. I imagine I'll watch the next episode again before we record. So when I watch the next episode, I'm going to listen in for the music and see if it stands out to me with that kind of with that call out in mind. Yeah. So that's I think that's it for episode 2.
Yeah.
Cool. Well then, speaking of the next episode, we'll be back for episode 3, which is called 3 Ducks of the Condor. I feel like that title must be a reference to something, but I don't know what.
Maltese Falcon.
I mean, yeah, it's got to be something of the Condor.
Yeah.
There's got to be.
There's got to be another Condor thing.
I'm just going to search of the Condor.
There was a guy named Troy Dunham, needed some answers, how would he find them? Just Google that stuff, yeah, Google that stuff, yeah, Google that stuff all day long. Google that person, Google that place, Google it all, cause there is no place to remember any reason, remember any why. All we do know is that we're gonna die, yeah, I'm gonna die, yeah, you're gonna die, yeah, Troy, you're gonna die. Yeah, Google it.
You know, the whole point of doing the best and worst was to have something to end the show on so that we didn't just fizzle out talking about, oh, what do you know? So the title is a reference to a movie starring Robert Redford, a quiet CIA codebreaker, that is called 3 Days of the Condor. So
there we go.
It is indeed a reference to that 1975 political thriller directed by Sidney Pollack and starring Robert Redford, Faye Dunaway, Cliff Robertson, and Max von Sydow. This sounds like a cool movie. I should check it out. After watching 3 Ducks of the Condor next time on Best Animated Shows Ever So Far.
Thanks for listening to the best animated shows ever, so far. Find the show on Twitter at BaseSFcast or email us at basesfcast@gmail.com. That's BASESFCAST. Our intro music is Funnin' and Sunnin', and our outro music is Motivator, both by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com, and licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. Thanks again for listening, and tune in next time.
This has been a presentation
of the We Can Make This Work
Probably Network.
Follow us on Twitter
at Probably Work for more of our questionable content.
Also, we have a website called probablywork.com.